Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your Happy New Year hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. Welcome to the first episode of 2017, everyone. I hope you made it into the new year safe and sound. I know I did, albeit a bit more quiet than usual. How about you, John? How has the new year been treating you so far?
You know, start of the year was pretty quiet as well, but got some interesting shows that are coming up, I think, so maybe this year will be a bit more fun.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. It's probably not too hard to upgrade from 2016, at least in certain regards. For me, it was kind of a mixed year. It wasn't as bad as for some of you guys, I guess.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
Here's to, I guess, new beginnings and a possibly better future. Don't lose hope, everyone. Anyway, since it's a freshly baked new year, we got a whole new winter anime season ahead of us, and that means quite a number of premieres to go through, so let's get right to it, as usual, in our sneak peek. So here we are in our little snack pack. Anyway, this is the section of the show that we start every season with, where we do like previews of shows that just started airing, and that we are maybe gonna review. Some of those we drop after like the first episode or the first few episodes because they don't live up to our expectations or whatever. Those you might see in a trash stash, or maybe not at all, depending on how many episodes we watch. But anyway, we want to give you a small preview to what's just started, and let's get right to it. John, what is one of the shows you checked out?
Well, all right. So, you know how I was talking about Schoolgirl Strikers a couple months back?
Oh, yeah, right.
I was like, hey, you know what? Let's look this up. How bad can it be? I got halfway through the first episode, and I was like, no, I'm good.
I've heard there's another show this season where that happened to a lot of people, and I haven't checked it out yet, but maybe, that's one of those as well, apparently.
It's not that it was inherently bad, because, the character designs and everything all seemed fine, whatever. The animation's kind of middling, but not, like, offensive. But I was just like, okay, you have these girls who attend this prestigious high school, and they're all recruited to, fight these monsters from another dimension. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Too generic in terms of magical girl stuff, or?
I mean, there's also the fact that it is an adaptation of a mobile game.
Yeah.
Which will come up again in a few minutes.
But, for me as well.
But yeah, I don't know, like I said, I got halfway through the first episode and I wasn't feeling it. There was another show this season that I got all the way through the first episode, and boy, I really wasn't feeling it. But what do you have for us, CC?
I'm just gonna quickly mention Tales of Zestiria Season 2 here. I haven't reviewed the first season yet, precisely because the second season was already announced by the time the first one started or finished up, so I was like, might as well wait. Especially since the first season didn't have like a real ending point or anything. It really felt like, okay, they're just taking a break. This is not,
it's more like, hey, we're switching to disc 2 now, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. It's 2 cores, and we just have to wait one. They're just taking a break for one season, for fourth season. That's that. But anyway, season 2 started up. Not much to say about it. It picks up exactly where season 1 left off. It still looks great. Ufotable with putting all their hard-earned Fate franchise money into Tales of Zestiria or however that works. But yeah, the show looks fucking amazing, and looking forward to seeing more. I hope the story will move along a bit faster now, because it was kind of slow in the first season. Also, there was this like weird 2 to 3 episode mini arc with the characters from Zestiria, and I don't know if that's gonna be wrapped up or if that was just a tease for the game, because that was about to come out at that point or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. We see where it goes. I'm still looking forward to it. Like I said, from a visual standpoint alone, it's worth watching for now. So yeah, that's that.
I mean, one of our friends referred to those specific episodes as hey, did you guys watch this week's episode of Tales of Berseria? And it's like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm. That was exactly that. So yeah, we'll see.
Also, before we move on real quick, I have a question. I don't know if it's really worth discussing or not, but when you said second cour, I always said season myself. Is cour just like the new thing to say, or? I
just have read it and seen it and heard it several times now. I'm not sure, but I thought it was specifically like referring to those kind of shows that just, take a break one season and then finish up. But I might be mistaken here. But that's the reason why I chose that word just now. But you might as well say second season, because I think otherwise, I think in other places that's exactly how, that second part of Sales of Zestiria is called season 2. So I don't know. I would have to look it up. But maybe it's the new it word. Who knows? The internet probably.
Yeah, I just couldn't help but be curious is all.
Yeah, sure.
Anywho, it's my turn now. So, my other hard drop was a little show called Handshakers.
Oh, there it is. I've read about this. It sounded quite amazing, but I wasn't sure. It sounded like an amazing kind of bad, but not in the way that I want it, maybe?
So basically the premise is all about there are these people who, when they hold hands, they can unleash this power, and it's kind of like a battle tournament type thing, and the winner gets to challenge God, and it's
what? Okay.
So I just want to point out that it's done by the studio Go Hands, who, I have respect for them because they did a lot of work on Seito Kaiyaku Indamo, and I love that show to death. Okay. So it's hey, let's check this out. Oh, no. So do you know what one of the worst ideas on the face of this planet is? Taking and putting your hand-drawn characters onto really poorly rendered CG backgrounds.
Oh, no.
And it's jarring and distracting, and it looks bad, especially when everything is... Nothing can be a single color. Oh, everything has to be this Technicolor puke gradient. And it looks bad for so many reasons. And I had to bring this up just now, just to read off a little bit of it. On Anime News Network, they do these show previews.
Yeah.
Jacob Chapman decided to write his rating as the most wondrous one that I can give.
Out of 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, the most hilariously hideous anime that I have ever seen in my entire life. You don't understand.
Is that in your opinion? Is that appropriate or fitting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it looks terrible. It's offensive to all senses. Yes, even taste and touch.
Yeah, I read all of those previews on AN, and I was like, I really like shows that are good bad, that are entertaining to watch because they're so shitty. But I don't know if it's just visually bad and the other stuff is not outrageous enough. I don't know if I want to give it a chance, because I still want to be able to actually watch it without, throwing up in my lap or something all the time. Well,
Jacob also said, drop what you're doing immediately and turn on the first episode. You don't have to watch the whole thing, although I dare you to look away. But I feel very strongly that as many anime fans as possible need to experience the most hilariously hideous anime, blah, blah, blah. Yes. So, if nothing else, watch the first episode so that you can experience experience it.
Okay, maybe I'll do that, and maybe it will turn up in a trash stash later on. Don't be surprised, people. I like my shitty anime sometimes.
Oh my god. Because I remember watching the PVs, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. There's like CG background. That's probably for the purposes of the PV. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Sometimes it can be used to great effect. Like I said in my review of Tabuto 2, that also has quite a number of CG backgrounds. But they're like, the colors match the characters and the environment, and it's usually very, in tone and in sync with the rest of the design of the show, and is, mostly used for camera pans and everything. And
want me to turn you off immediately?
Sure.
Horribly mismatched frame rates.
Oh no. Well, yeah. That's kind of a given with CG and anime. But still, I'm going to check it out. But
it's not something that has to happen.
No.
Handshakers.
Yeah.
Handshakers.
Okay.
I tell you what, I wash my hands clean of handshakers.
All right, so that already went right into the trash stash for you. That's good to know. Anyway, I'm going to check out the first episode. Sure, why not? We'll see what happens. You never know. Maybe I'll take a liking to it.
Then you'll have to let me know if it ends as badly as I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, I will. If that is so bad that it's good for me, I'm gonna review it. We'll see. I'm not afraid.
So
not afraid of you handshakers. Anyway,
as you shake your hand at the screen.
Exactly. Yes, I see what you did there. Well done, John.
Hey.
Okay.
What's next for you?
Yeah, next for me is also a new season of a show, but a really good one. And one I've been looking forward to quite a while, since it's been a while that it's been announced, and that is the new season of Yowamushi Pedal. So this is a show about bicycle racing. In my opinion, one of the most boring sports ever. But the show, in good anime tradition, turns it into one of the most fun and exciting things to watch ever.
Doesn't it seem like there's been quite a few anime about cycling in recent memory? Because I know there's that, there was, Long Riders, and I feel like there was something else.
There is one this season, I think, this season, Girls Bicycle Club or something.
That's the one.
Yeah, I haven't checked that out yet, but I probably won't either, because those and motorcycles were more slice of life things, and Kuroko and Haikyuu and Yowamushi go more the classic tournament, sports tournament, shonen, route,
and the actual sport.
Yeah, with action and everything, and high octane drama. So that's more to my liking. That's the shows I watch. And yeah, Yowamushi Pedal was one of those. That show already had 2 seasons, season 1 and the second one, Grand Road, and that were for me immensely enjoyable shows. Fantastic characters, really funny. Had one of the best after credit skits of any show I've ever seen. Like where these characters go, where the characters go out and do like small things non-related to the episodes, but always funny, always entertaining. That stuff made me laugh. Yeah, fantastic, amazing music, amazing amazing races in the show. Outrageous characters. One of the bad guys, and I can't remember his name now, and I feel bad because I did give sets of that guy because I found him so amazing. Midosuji, that's what it was. Midosuji is like the best fucking thing, at least in one part of that show, because the fights, the races against him he's so fucking outrageously evil and hideous and everything. So yeah, it's amazing stuff. Highly entertaining show, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that new season. I also watched one of the movies. I think there's another one now, which I haven't seen yet. But yeah, really good sports anime stuff. A lot of emotions, a lot of drama, a lot of funny stuff. Super sympathetic characters. I love it. And this one starts out with a bit of drama, actually, because one of the senior members is about to leave the team to study abroad, and everyone is like, what? No! Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to some riveting races, and more Yowamushi pedal. I am happy. The new generation. I'm ready. What's up next for you?
Next is another questionable choice. I promise it gets better from here on my list. Well, better in my estimation. Jen, you're teaching me shit. Shut up.
Nobody said that.
You're thinking it. Idol incidents.
Yes.
Have you ever wondered what our world would be like if pop idols could run for office in your local or national government?
I can in all honesty say no.
Well, there you go.
have never wondered about that, John. Why would I?
Are you serious right now? Have you never thought I can't say that without laughing.
I assume the show answered my unasked question. Answers my unasked question.
I mean, I think it's aspiring to it. I love idols. I don't know about this show, but I just have to stick it out and see if it turns into a glorious mess. Because it's another show that is, again, another mobile game adaptation, and I feel like the visuals should be stronger than they are, considering one of the studios working on it is MAPPA.
Yeah, well, I said the same thing when I started watching Days, and I was like, this is not up to par. But
MAPPA, MAPPA and Voln, apparently, I know Voln worked with MAPPA on Ushio and Tora.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
But yeah, it seems like it'll be incredibly dumb. I think the second episode will be the real deciding factor because, I don't know, man. I just don't know. It seems like one of those concepts that's way too goofy even for its own good.
Well, does it take itself seriously and the premise, or is it like constantly making fun of the whole fucking idea? I think that's very important.
It's like half and half, because on one hand it's like, oh, look at these foofy, pretty idols who are running for office, and in the background you have these like bureaucrat guys like, we can't allow them to be elected, and it's like, Jesus Christ, there's like a very hard tonal difference going on here that it don't match up. It don't match up. It don't match up.
What should turn into a fucking horror anime or something where the idols slaughter the whole fucking government or something?
I'm pretty sure there's a game that kind of partially fulfills that called Idol Death Game. So,
oh my God, of course there is. I'm not even surprised.
But yes, Idol Incidents. Watch it.
We'll see.
What's next on your list?
The last serious continuation, so to speak, in my list, and that is Blue Exorcist, the Kyoto Saga. And that is the continuation of a shonen anime series from 2011. It's about this... Huh?
Say that's quite the break, kind of like how D. Greyman took quite the break, too.
Yeah, D. Greyman took a bit longer than that, but... yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah, but I get to it. But it's close. Yeah, it's been a while. And it's about this... The show is about this guy, Rin Okumura, who finds out that he is half demon and actually the son of Satan. It happens. You know, one of those days. So the priest who adopted him and protected Rin and his brother, who is a normal human being apparently, but yeah, the priest who adopted them gets killed by Satan, and thus Rin decides to enlist in a special school to become an exorcist and kick Satan's ass, basically.
Oh.
So classic shonen stuff, but I like the old show quite a lot. It had some cool characters. It's definitely one of A1's most well-animated shows, in my opinion. I don't know if it's quite on level of Sword Art, but it's up there, and it still holds up. I revisited it before starting to watch the new season because I forgot, where the story was going, what actually happened. So I did the same thing I did with D. Graham, and only for this I only had to watch 12 episodes, which is quite a difference from 103 or however long the Greyman, I think, was 103 episodes. Anyway, yeah, so it was not a tall order. Anyway, yeah, there is a small problem, though. The old series caught up to the manga halfway through its runtime and decided to go its own way story-wise from that point on. Like Full Metal Alchemist did in its first incarnation. But unlike Full Metal Alchemist, who did the same thing and then did a reboot with Brotherhood, this new season of Blue Exorcist tries to pick up at a certain point in the story that had already some things changed from the manga.
Oh.
So it doesn't quite match up. Like, there are some things that happened in the anime at that point that, didn't happen in the manga. And then at that specific point, the new season picks up and you're like, well, that doesn't fit. That's not how it happened in the old show. So it's not quite easy to know where to stop watching in the old show. It's a bit difficult. You probably would have to watch the show, read a bit of the manga, and then start watching the new show to make it all go together like fluently and match up perfectly. So it's I'll go into more detail when I'll eventually review it, because I'm gonna definitely finish that show because I like it, like the characters, and I like the story so far.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the show from both you and another friend.
Yeah, but it's a weird decision they made with the second season. I would have liked the way I would have done it. I get into detail once I review it. This is gonna otherwise it's gonna explode. It's gonna blow up this sneak peek way too much. But yeah, I see some. I have some ideas how you could have done that better. But anyway, for now, I'm still looking forward to see how the story continues and everything, and I'm definitely gonna keep watching. And in terms of recommendation, whenever that review happens, I'm gonna tell our dear listeners how they should maybe approach the show if they are interested in it. Anyway, that's that. What's up next for you?
Next up is a returning show for me. It's KonoSuba.
Ah, yes.
The show about a guy who died, gets transported to an RPG-like world, but nothing ever seems to go quite his way.
Shit happens.
Pretty much. I mean, I didn't really speak at length about it before, since, again, it's a split-season show, but I just kind of got really into it because the characters are all they're all idiots, and it's amazing that they managed to accomplish anything. So that's why I really like it, because, again, it's a light novel adaptation, which I've been trying to stay away from, but I just really like how goofy it is and how it never takes itself seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, KonoSuba is a lot of fun, and if you haven't watched it...
Does it follow a story, or is it like more slice of lifey?
Oh, it follows a story. All
right. Okay, cool.
Because the start of the second season, I won't go too deep in the details, starts up with our quote-unquote hero, Kazuma, being put on trial for certain things he may or may not have done.
Oh, okay. One's hero is another man's bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
I guess that fits.
If the shoe fits.
Yes. All right. One man's hero is another man's stupid bitch, I guess. Fits my next show. We'll see. So I watched the first episode of Saga of Tanya the Evil. So this is set in an alternate universe version of Europe in World War I, World War II scenario.
This is starting to sound familiar.
Yeah. We had a show like that in last season, but this is taking quite a different approach. Also, there is techno magic in this for some reason.
Oh.
Anyway, so but the different thing about this is that this is kind of told from the perspective of Germany. So they seem to be the kind of good guys this time, and because they're the ones being invaded for some reason, and the story is told from their perspective. So that is certainly a first, and it doesn't.
getting a little bit revisionist history.
It doesn't sit quite right with me, and I'm from that fucking country, so I'm like, yeah, this is feeling a bit icky, guys, even though it's pure fantasy, but, you glorifying my country in that era, I don't, no. 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 We did some shitty things, even though World War I was much more complicated than World War II, but in terms of who is to blame and everything, but still, yeah. Anyway, that setup doesn't feel quite right to me. Anyway, like I mentioned, there's a hybrid of magic and technology in this show that gives people the ability to fly, among other things. They equip like the specific gear, like these special boots and everything. It's not like strike witches are. It's more like it looks a bit more heavy, at least on some of the characters, and some of them just ride on these metallic horses in the sky. You know.
You mean you don't have to take your pants off to fly?
Well, some of us do, not all of us. Anyway, so one of the big players on the German side is this young, very young girl commander called Tanya de Gurechav. Anyway, that's a name. Who is this like very gifted fighter that can kill entire enemy battalions on her own with her superiority in air combat. And there's this spiel where they want to make you believe that she's this harsh commander with a heart of gold, who, even though she's a bit rough on her on the outside and to her, lieutenants and everything, she cares about her soldiers and all that. But at the end of the first episode, it turns out she's actually a little sadistic asshole who has no problem to just kill her own men because they, spoke up to her or disobeyed her or something.
Oh.
And put them in the line of fire. Yeah. So, pretty weird show. Weird characters. Also, the character designs are pretty damn ugly, in my opinion. Really don't like them.
Yeah, I remember looking at, some images of the show, and I was like, wow, this looks...
Yeah. And also, I can't take Tanya seriously with her voice. You are probably familiar with her voice actress. I didn't look her up, but it's like...
How a Yuki looks like.
Yeah, she got this really, really squeaky child voice that sounds more like a cartoon character than anything. It's just a weird choice. And,
you say cartoon character and, the medium.
Yeah, but, you're not supposed to sound like fucking, I don't know, Roger Rabbit or I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. You're not supposed to sound like classic Western Warner Bros. Cartoon character. Anyway.
Come on.
So, yeah. The air battles look cool. There's one cool scene in that first episode where Tanya fights a lot of dudes on those weird metallic flying horses. But aside from that, I doubt the show is going to host my interest much longer than maybe for 2 or 3 episodes. It feels really weird and kind of icky to me in terms of, with that revisionist history thing. And it's probably mainly for military otakus or people who love evil, smirking lolis. Who knows? It's not...
That's an oddly specific subset.
Yeah. There's what... Pot for every kettle? No, that's not how this saying goes. I don't know, man. It's not really my cup of tea. So yeah, I'm probably not going to keep watching it. If that sounds remotely interesting to you, why ever check it out? But it's a weird show. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it for another 2 or 3 episodes to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. But so far, it isn't really enticing. Do you have something enticing on your list? Next.
Why not? Let's talk about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Yes, that's also on my list.
Hey!
It's a Kyoani show, right?
Yes, it is. So, a long time ago, like last weekend, maybe, in a kingdom far away, on the outskirts of Tokyo.
Mm.
That
is pretty far away from here. I don't.
Well, I mean, relative to the story.
Okay.
Our main character, Miss Kobayashi, drunkenly stumbles upon a dragon.
As you do.
And says, hey, why don't you shack up with me? And then wakes up, a few days later, hungover, and suddenly there's a dragon outside her door. Like a big old mean-looking dragon that suddenly transforms into a little maid girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's goofy, and I love it. Because this dragon Toru has no reservations about, why she wants to hang around with Kobayashi.
Yeah, she wants to bang her.
Yes.
I love that they're making no, qualms about that. That's not like hinted at, I like you, maybe more than a friend. No, she has the total hots for Kobayashi. She wants to, yeah.
He's like, I want to be with you, Miss Kobayashi, in the most sexual way. It's like, oh. Okay.
All right.
Okay, sure.
Sure. She knows what she wants. I think that's admirable. Even for a dragon lady.
And just everything about Toru, she's just funny because she has, again, she has no filter. So
she also has no concept of what a maid is.
No.
Not really. That's an issue.
So you see her looking up stuff on the internet, learning how to, be a maid, and Kobayashi's just like, what are you doing? Stop.
But I love that how tolerant Kobayashi is, though. She's like, oh no, I can't give her the boot or anything because I would feel guilty, and she's kind of nice and it might be helpful to have her around. But she is, causing a lot of mischief, and also she's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, because if you make her mad, you'll turn into toast.
Yes, exactly. Or get cursed or something, because she also can do magic. And, yeah.
Yeah, dragon magic's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's pretty goofy. I think it'll be fun to keep watching.
Yeah. Her dream at the end of the first episode hints at a more serious component, maybe, which would also be neat, but I don't know if they actually go into detail there. You see her in the first, like, in the flashback to... where Kobayashi actually meets her, she has like this giant sword in her back, and I think Kobayashi is the one. I assume Kobayashi is the one who pulls it out or something, and that's maybe why she fell in love with her or something. But yeah, maybe we'll get to learn who actually put that sword there, and maybe he or she will appear in the show, and I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, even if it doesn't do anything with that and just stays a funny slice of life comedy show, that's for now that's cool enough because those characters are quite endearing, and it's a neat setup. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I'm going to keep watching.
Yeah. So what do you got next?
Let's stay with the Monster Girls, shall we?
Oh boy,
yeah.
I know it's coming next.
Next on my list would be Interview with Monster Girls. And not Dragon Ladies, but close enough. So this is basically the PG comedy slice of life version of Monster Musume. It's set in a world filled with demi-humans, so vampires, Dullahans, is that how you pronounce them? People who carry their hats in their hands. Headless horsemen or horsewomen or whatever. And succubi and snow women and all that good stuff. And it's set in a school, naturally, where a biology teacher by the name of Takahashi teaches, as you should as a teacher. Anyway, he has always been interested in learning more about demi-humans, but never got around to meeting any of them for some reason, even though the world seems to be, highly populated with them. And ask him any questions about their daily life, even though, that's what he wants to learn about. He's a biology teacher and interested about all of that stuff. And just as it happens, he runs into 4 demi-humans in one day, basically. So 3 students and 1 teacher in the first episode. And
how fortuitous.
Yeah, and there's this this vampire girl. I forgot her name. And yeah, he helps her out, and then one thing leads to another, and he asks her if it would be okay for her to, if he interviewed her on occasion, because he wants, to get to know more about demi-humans, and she agrees, and yeah, that's that. And we go from there, and, they have an exchange, and she introduces him to her friend, the headless woman. It's harmless, feel-good comfort food with nice, sympathetic characters. So yeah, for now, that's all it is. It's slice of life comedy bit, pretty much like Dragon Maid, but not as over the top and crazy. It feels much more grounded, even though it's even despite its ridiculous premise. Characters seem pretty down to earth and nice, pleasant. It's very pleasant. It's a very pleasant show. I'm a bit worried it might go down the harem route, because there's a bit of an ecchi vibe to it. But I kind of doubt it. It doesn't feel like that right now, and I hope it doesn't do that. But we'll see. But yeah, for now, did you watch the show or?
No, I've just seen it mentioned.
But yeah, it's like I said, it's harmless. It's very, very pleasant, and just to have a lean back, feel good, funny characters anime in the week. I'm probably gonna keep watching. The exchange between Takahashi and the vampire girl were very entertaining. Their dialogue had a lot of pep to it, and wasn't too cliched and everything. So yeah, clever little show.
Cool.
What's next on your list?
How about Akiba's Trip, the animation?
Oh, that one. Yeah, we already talked about that in the news section.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, deep in the shadows of Akihabara. It sounds more menacing than it's supposed to be. But there are these monsters called the buggy one or bugged ones, whatever they are, and they can possess people and turn them evil. And the way you beat them is by stripping off their clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So this show is based on a game of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
I got kind of curious about this one simply because here in the West we got the second game and not the first one. And from what I can see, if this is any accurate to the game, the characters in the first game were a lot more interesting than in the second.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, shrug.
Maybe should have adapted the first then, I guess?
I don't know.
Okay.
But, it centers around our main character is this kid, Tamotsu. He's just a nerd, an otaku, whatever you want to call him. Gets attacked by one of these creatures and nearly dies, but he's saved by this girl, Matome, and they basically end up sharing this power that enables him to fight the bugged ones. But because of the way this power works, they can't leave Akihabara, so he's kind of a prisoner in a nerd's paradise, as it were.
Oh no, how horrible. Unless he has no money to buy anything, then it's probably really torture.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, I mean...
So it's an area-based power, or...
It's more like they just can't leave the area because of it.
Okay.
I kind of feel like the show will be fun just because the characters are all very nerdy, goofy types. So I feel like that makes them likable. And it's animated by Gonzo, which may be good or bad depending on who you ask. The fight scenes, I will say, most of what I've seen so far at least look pretty cool. There were some moments
in the first episode. The Gonzo is legendary when it comes to dropping off in quality after the first episode. So,
because in the second episode there was this one big bad guy who's kind of kept changing in appearance from scene to scene, and I don't know if they were trying to play that up for comedic effect or not, but it was not. It was not consistent.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'll see where the show goes from here.
Okay. Interesting enough.
Yeah.
Is the ecchi part played up like mainly for laughs, or are they doing something interesting with it? I mean, since you have to strip the clothes off the people, I imagine that's a big part of it, right?
Well, they make a point of it by saying there's different levels of infection, and that the small fry that they fight, they're okay. The infection will go away after they've been stripped. But with ones like himself and like the other big bads, you don't lose your power. You just flat out die. So you have to stay on your toes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
What's next on your list?
Well, we'll stay this time with the game-based anime, or mobile game-based anime. Because I checked out the first episode of Chain Chronicle. Wait, that has an unpronounceable subtitle, Light of Haecceitas or something. Anyway, yeah.
Haecceitas. That's the katakana.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
Chain Chronicle. Anyway, so this is based
Perfect.
on a fantasy RPG by Saga for mobile and PS Vita. And what's interesting about it is the story, at least in an anime, I don't know about the game, starts kind of in the middle of the story. We get at the end of a chapter, we get thrown into like the climax of a fight against an evil Dark King and his demon army. And a young hero named Yuri assembled this giant volunteer army of different people and fantasy creatures and races, and is about to take down the evil king and gets his ass kicked. So yeah, severely, and some dark magic gets unleashed and starts poisoning the whole land. And the army has to retreat and lick their wounds and try to decide what to do next, and if there even is a way to take down the now seemingly even more powerful Dark Lord. So this is kind of an interesting setup, because this is usually not how your standard fantasy story goes. Starting out with the heroes losing the battle. That I found that to be kind of interesting. I wonder if it's intentional, or if you just have to play the game before watching the series, because it feels like you're watching the final minutes of Empire Strikes Back without having seen any second of Star Wars before. Given that, yeah.
I played a little bit of the game before they shut it down over here for whatever reason, and I don't quite remember it being like that. But again, that was also months ago, years ago even.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to elaborate on that, or if I have to play the game, or it's the short OVA. There was one of that, and there were 3 movies there are 3 movies that apparently exist, or 4. Though I believe the series is only a recompilation of those, so it's probably the same story. Anyway, given there's a fuck ton of characters thrown at you, but the show actually does a pretty good job at establishing who the important players are and what their roles are. But it just feels like we're missing the entire backstory of everything that happened before this chapter of the story. So I don't know if it's if I have the constant feeling of, wait, I want to know who these people are. Will I ever know who these people are? Get to know how they met up? Because I want to know about that. So if that doesn't happen, that would be let down. Maybe I have to check out the OVA or something, because I'm probably not going to play the game. Anyway, maybe I have to read up on that, because if that doesn't get explained, because I have to have played the game, I probably won't finish the series. I'm not sure. We'll see. For now, I probably keep watching, because I like a solid fantasy setting, big dumb fantasy story, and the show looks actually gorgeous. Maybe because it's a recompilation of those movies and movie budget and everything. The fight scenes are super fluid and impressive. I really like the look of that show. So looks interesting. I'm gonna keep watching for now, but I hope that there's a way to actually get to know what happened before that part of the story in some way. Or if it's really intentional and it's set up like that, so they do something interesting with that. Anyway, that's that. What's up for you next?
Next up for me is Masamune's Revenge.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that, but not many positive voices.
So the story centers around our hero, not really. Centers around a kid named Masamune. There, it's not right to call him a hero. And he's, transferred to a new high school. He's starting, a new life, getting, stuff together. When he ends up running across a girl who he, in his younger days, very much younger days, had a crush on, and he got turned down by her and called a pig's foot and all sorts of not nice stuff. So Masamune devises, when he sees that this girl is still kind of up to the same tricks of just publicly humiliating any guy who's interested in her, giving them nasty nicknames, he gets it in his head that, wait, she doesn't remember me. So I'm going to make this girl fall in love with me so hard, and I'm just going to break it off in the nastiest way possible. And it's like, this is a rom-com of a much different color now, isn't it?
This is, wow. Okay. I mean, you could try to be the bigger man and...
Nah, fuck that.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Fuck her.
Civility.
Yeah. Be an asshole. Take revenge. Sure. I mean, it might be entertaining, and I'm pretty sure it's not gonna go his way.
No, probably not.
I assume this is gonna take like the comedy route, and he's gonna try to set himself up for like his revenge, and gonna like fuck up gloriously in certain embarrassing situations.
Yeah, I think they're kind of steering in that direction. It's just, okay. I don't know, there's just something so off color about this that I want to see how it plays out.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. Sounds interesting enough. The question is if they handle it like in a way that is not gross / boring, and do something interesting with that setup. So
Also, I'll tell you what, from the first couple episodes, this show's got great music.
Okay.
Done by Tatsuya Kato, who we know from stuff like Shokugeki no Soma.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if nothing else, this show's going to have a fantastic soundtrack.
Yeah, I am interested to hear more about it whenever, in a review or a trash stash. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you got for us?
The last thing on my list, actually, and that is ACCA, 13 Territory Inspection Department.
Yes.
That's how it's pronounced. Yeah. Did you watch that too?
Yes.
All right. So I had to watch it because it's a show by Madhouse. And I love Madhouse stuff.
That's what initially drew me to it, too. And I saw the first couple PBs, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. I mean,
it's not like Madhouse always delivers, but their shows are always worth checking out at least the first episode of. And I'm like, okay, let's see what happens here. And yeah, so this is set in the fictional kingdom of Doma, that on a map has the shape of a bird, funnily enough.
Fancy that.
Yeah. And it's made up of 13 member districts who are all supervised by this independent agency called ACCA. I don't know what that is the abbreviation for. I don't know if they actually mentioned that. They probably did, but I forgot. But anyway, yeah, that ACCA manages all the important institutions for all the 13 districts. And has a branch in every district for specific purposes. And the main character of the story, Gene Otis, is the vice chairman of the inspection department of the ACCA. And his job is basically to periodically inspect all the different branches of his organization to see if there's any misbehavior or corruption brewing. And that's on paper, that doesn't sound really interesting. It sounds like a bureaucracy anime, kinda. But there's an interesting setup in the first episode for like maybe political conspiracy plot, which could be cool. And what's most striking about the show is the art style and the character designs. It's all very, very striking, and the animation is great. So I hope Madhouse can keep up that level of quality. Music is awesome too in this one.
Can I just say,
that
opening sequence is the best one I've seen this season.
Yeah, it's probably gonna make it on the top 10 list.
It's so stylish, man.
Yeah, it's super cool. Good song too. Yeah, it's great. It's an eye catcher. Yeah, but it's an interesting show. It's an interesting concept. Some neat setups here and there. I hope the story takes some interesting twists and turns. Main character is interesting too, albeit a bit, I don't know. He always feels a bit laid back and was like, yeah, I guess that's that. Very quiet, but deep waters and everything. Anyway, yeah, I want to see where the story goes. Even though it feels a bit slow right now, but that might change once the story gets really going. And like I said, looks really, really cool. Just from a visual perspective, it's one of those shows worth checking out, in my opinion. So, yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you hit on all of the stuff. It has a sort of a slow start, I believe, but I feel like it could turn out to be something interesting if they keep going down like the political corruption route that they kind of foreshadowed pretty heavily. Yeah,
one of the members of those 5 generals or whatever they are, the 5 head honchos of the ACCA is corrupt. I might this Grossalis or what his name is might be a red herring. He might not be the actual Get guy. My suspicion is on the guy with the earrings, kinda. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. It's interesting. Anyway, what's next on your list?
Next up is Gabriel DropOut.
Okay.
So it's all about an angel named Gabrielle, and she graduated top of her class in angel school, and I guess after you do that, you're sent down to the earthly realms so that you can continue your studies of human interactions down there. So she comes down to our world and starts attending human school. No big deal, whatever. And then she discovers video games.
Oh no! The beginning of her demise!
And she's playing, a healer in this game. She's like, oh, I have to help everyone. For 1,500 yen, you could buy this magical healing staff that'll make you super powered, and it's a hard spiral.
No, she fell for the free-to-play MMO. No, poor girl.
And then you cut forward some amount of time.
She's homeless.
You see her in her apartment, just the trash is piling up. She's just laying on the floor in the dark playing this game. And she has to be coerced to go to school by this girl who's basically from hell, like this devil girl.
Okay.
And just the dichotomy between these very much fallen angel characters and these devil characters who are much more pure of heart. It's just something just wildly crazy about that I love. I don't know, man. Just the way everyone seems to be acting out of character.
Yeah, cool. Sure. Flip it around. Like, it's always nice if they go against the cliches.
Because there's a scene where one of the other angel characters, this girl Raphael, antagonizes the hell out of this one of the devil characters, Satanikia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this dog's trying to take my food. Well, if you speak to him in dog language, you just might get through to him. So Satoniki, you just see her just start going, one, and Raphael is just, she's just turning around trying as hard as she can not to laugh at her.
Jeez, that's so mean.
It is. It's great, and I just think it's going to be fun just to watch all the characters antagonizing each other like this.
Yeah, sounds like a wacky comedy hour, or 20 minutes in that case. But yeah, sure. Funny premise. Anything else?
Did you have anything before I go?
No.
Okay, so my last one is a show called Fuuka.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. That's a romance show, right?
Yes. It's about this boy named Yu, and it's kind of like, I wouldn't say at a stalled point in his life, but he's very much like, doesn't care much for anything. He's always constantly looking at his phone like, Twitter, I got to keep up on Twitter at any given point.
Hey, know the feeling.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it gets to be like an obsession for him.
Know the feeling.
God damn. Until he runs across this girl, Fuuka. And they have what seems to be a very stereotypical first interaction where he accidentally gets a peek up where he shouldn't. And they have like this rocky start. But basically, Yu gets these tickets to this movie where like the main theme song is performed by this girl, Koyuki, who happens to be one of his childhood friends, who happens to still have an interest in him.
There's the love triangle.
And Yu and Fuuka go to see the movie, and they have a good time together. But at the end, Yu is like, well, how can we call this a date? We don't even know if we can if we're gonna be together and whatnot. And Fuuka turns around to him and says, "We don't know that yet." And it was that line, that interaction, where I was like, really? There was just something about that interaction, that exchange, that just got me interested, because you don't see or hear that. It's just, will they, won't they? But it's the character, actively acknowledging, hey, maybe we will, sort of thing. But there's still the factor of the childhood friend angle. But considering, the name of the show is the name of one of the main characters, I could be wrong, but I think we could see where it's probably going to go.
Yeah, well, it might throw you for a loop. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's another red herring. We'll see. Or you'll see. I'm not big on romances, but I see their appeal, and if it's done well, if the character development is done good, it's interesting enough.
Yeah, I mean, I got interested when I was looking at the staff for the show, because it's directed by Keizo Kusakawa, who's directed a lot of Nanoha. So I'd like to see where he takes the story.
Yeah, sure. Sounds interesting enough, and I'm interested to hear where it went whenever you will talk about that. All right. I guess that's it for the sneak peek. Those were, again, a lot of shows we talked about. This time, slightly different configuration, because John had more shows than I did. The last time it was the other way around. But yeah, we'll see how that turns out review-wise. But speaking of reviews, let's head into our first review of 2017 and of fall season 2016. Well, kinda, but you'll see. It's the year 1999, and there are strange things happening in the town of Morio. A bunch of people develop special powers. Among them is our main protagonist? ? High schooler Yosuke Higashikata, who, as it turns out, is the illegitimate son of Joseph Joestar, our favorite JoJo, So, of course, the special powers are stands. And when Josuke's uncle Jotaro appears on his doorsteps, they both start to... No, wait. Jotaro is actually his nephew, right? That's how it goes. It's really weird. He's older, but he's his nephew. Because Joseph fathered Josuke when he was already very old. Anyway.
Because family trees are what?
Fucking weird. Anyway, when Jotaro appears on Josuke's doorsteps, they both start to investigate who is responsible for this mass appearance of stand users in Morio, and how this connects to a bunch of unsolved murders that have tainted Morio without anyone noticing. And yeah, this is the fourth part of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure series. If you know nothing about JoJo, check out episode 5 of our show, where we reviewed the first 3 parts of this franchise and gave you like a small introduction to it. This is the fourth one. It is kind of standalone, but not really, because it's always connected to the previous. It's not as connected as Stardust Crusaders was to the first season, because, the baddie is not the same in this case and everything. But yeah, it's still connected. We have some characters from earlier season appearing. And the more you know about, what stands are, if you're already familiar with them, the more that helps to get you into the series. Also, if you're already familiar with the craziness that ramped up steadily starting from season 1, that helps too. Because it only gets crazier from here, people. Anyway, yeah, that season of JoJo, Diamond is Unbreakable, started in spring and ended in fall. So this is naturally our fall season review. And it's again animated by David Production, who did a solid job as usual. Nothing super outstanding, but there are some really neat fights in there and some really good character animation in certain parts. So yeah, they know what they're doing at this point. It's directed again by Naokatsu Tsuda, who directed the other seasons as well. And we get a lot of great dynamic action shots, crazy angles and color patterns, all the good things that JoJo is known for at this point. The weird katakana floating over the screen. Yeah, all that good stuff. Music by Yugo Kano, who also did the music for Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, among other things like Birdie and Psychopaths. It's great stuff, especially shines in the dramatic moments, in my opinion, which there are plenty of in the show. Yeah, that's, getting the production credits out of the way. So, about the show itself. Going into Diamond is Unbreakable, I assumed this would be the most classic shonen-y JoJo series yet, at least from, the shonen shows I watched. I never watched Fist of the North Star or anything, and JoJo is more, the first season of JoJo is more, akin to that. But I mean stuff like, all the high school shonen series, what comes to mind? Bleach, maybe Yu Yu Hakusho in certain parts, and, a bunch of stuff. A bunch of shonen stuff is set in Japanese high school. That's how it is, because that's also the target audience. But yeah, I expected this to happen first because it's only set in that one Japanese town of Morio. The new JoJo is a high schooler, and someone who had read the manga told me that it was, kind of boring standard shonen fare, so that's what I expected. So I don't know which series that guy read, but it's not this one.
I mean, most I had heard was that some parts were arranged in a slightly different order from the manga, but that was the most that I had heard.
Yeah, but still, if it's only rearranged and it didn't take stuff out, this is the least shonen JoJo thing in the series so far. Like, the first half of this series, of this part, has barely any clear driving plotline or antagonist. Josuke fights some dudes who got stand powers, he makes some new friends. A lot of episodes are standalone and have this kind of slice of lifey vibe to it. I'm pretty sure you know which episodes I'm talking about. Like, there's this episode where Josuke and his buddy Okuyasu try to upgrade their allowances by using the powers of a fellow stand user, trying to be a bit scammy. And there's another one where they visit an ominous restaurant that seems to have something sinister going on in its kitchen. It's one of the best episodes ever, but it's not related to the quote-unquote main plot at all. And there are a lot of those episodes. There's one where Josuke and Joseph have to take care of an invisible baby. Sure, why not? Also not related to the main plot. There's a lot of those episodes. And, the previous JoJo season had, your odd one outs episodes here and there, but they were still kind of always related to the main plot still in a way. And this is completely different. At least...
Actually, I do remember now. I did read a little bit about the baby, and apparently she did have a little bit more to do than was shown in the TV series, so I guess so they must have cut that out a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it was dragging too much in the manga, so they shortened it up. I mean, that's okay. Good. That's important. Pacing is super important in anime. I already said this before. So if they felt like, oh, this is not super important material, so for the sake of pacing, if we cut that out, that's fine with me. It didn't feel like it was missing much. Maybe some characters got shortcoming, but I don't, if the baby gets the short end of the baby gets the short end of the stick, that's how it is. But yeah, a lot of goofy stuff, standalone episodes in the show, and I mean it in the most positive way possible because it's refreshingly different when compared to the other seasons of JoJo's. That have always had this clearly defined villain and goals set up pretty much right from the start. In the first season, it's Dio, then it's the Pillar Man, and then it's Dio again. And it's directly from the start, hey, here is your bad guy, go. Kill him. The other seasons always had like an odyssey. You got this set team of characters, and they go on an odyssey, mostly through multiple countries. It's like a world tour for the most part, who try to get to Big Evil and beat it. And a lot of Diamond is Unbreakable is like, hey, what weird new character is the show introducing us to today? What new strange place in Morio will we venture to? Who is our main character today? And the last question being the most prominent, actually, because I would argue that Josuke is not necessarily the main protagonist in the classic sense. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I mean, I see where you're going with that, but he does help drive the plot forward at first, and then, I feel like all of the main characters kind of become accessories alongside each other.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, he is in a lot of the episodes, and, his meeting up with JoJo and everything is the stuff that sets the plot into motion. And he's the new Joestar descendant of this season. But a lot of the episodes don't focus on him, or even include him at all. Instead, we get a lot of misadventures with other characters who might or might not be important to the main story later on. We get a lot of stuff that focus on Koichi. We got some, one-off episode that, features him and his maybe girlfriend. And we get some stuff that focuses on Rohan, the manga guy. The good thing about that is it helps make the town feel more alive. Because we get to meet so many characters from this town that always appear and reappear in certain episodes, which is important because we stay just, in that one town during the entirety of that season. In the other JoJo series, we always had some new interesting vistas to see and, new villains to meet in weird and awesome places. And this is all set in, in that one town of Morio. And we also get these little info skits during the chapter breaks that tell us facts about the different places of the town that we visit in that specific episode. And, it's like this tourist information, but we know that, the reason for it being there might be something super weird, and it's maybe related to a stand user, and
Yeah, I like the ones in particular where they were like, here are directions to get to this place. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. Why would I go there? Anyway. Yeah, you could say the town itself, with all the characters that populate it, is the main character of the show, like in its entirety. I mean, the plot of the like the villain that appears later on is also heavily focused on what he wants from his life and that why he does what he does and how it's connected to the town. I don't know. It feels like the town is alive and breathing and is a character by itself in that story, and I found that to be very interesting and well done. And not
it's funny
that often.
It's funny because that's actually an argument that I hear made. It's going to sound strange, but I've heard that argument made about Final Fantasy VII, that the planet is the main character, which kind of makes sense since you're fighting to defend it, and in the end it ends up having to defend itself. Spoilers for like a 20-year-old game.
That's gonna have a remake in 10 years or something.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I didn't really think about it before, but you saying that Morio is like the main character does make sense now that I'm thinking about it. It's an interesting way of looking at the way the story is staged.
Also, if you look at the openings, it's always the town that is prominently featured in them in one way or another. They really focus on it. It's the first one, has it in its title. It's called Crazy, Noisy, Bizarre Town. And, and the third one is taking you like through a tour to the town and showing you all the different vistas and everything. And it's, I don't know, it's just striking. Same
thing with the ending sequence, really. It's just,
yeah.
It's like you're walking down the main drag of the town, seeing all these sights, which is so.
Hey, here are all these characters
cool.
You already met and who might or might not reappear in the show because you don't know where the story is taking you next because some of the stuff is just random slice of life stuff, and so it's like we're living with these characters in this crazy town, and you don't really always know what's gonna happen next because this season is a lot more random than the ones that came before it, and that made it different and interesting in my opinion. Like I mentioned, it takes a long time for the main story to set on a clear path and for the antagonist to appear, and even after he is revealed, there are some standalone episodes sprinkled in before the final confrontation that don't really relate to him. There's also this episode that is entirely spent on the family life of the villain, kinda, which is also a complete departure from the previous season in this regard, because the villains of the previous seasons were like pretty clear-cut, big, burly, bad dudes with superpowers who, I don't know, not all of them were bent on world domination or everything, but still, it ventured in that territory mostly. We're like these superior super beings and, we're evil. Interesting and hilarious and, super entertaining, especially in the case of Dio. But, still kind of one note in that regard. Good, in a good way. But, and the antagonist of this story is a completely different beast. Because he is a villain, a clear villain. He's a killer, he's a dangerous guy, he's an asshole, he's a psychopath. But he's also not someone with, I don't know, any kind of world-threatening ambition due to him having a kind of powerful stand. He just wants to be left alone and live a peaceful life as a little serial killer. And that is super weird and makes total sense in this kind of story and this, this world that the fourth part of JoJo has created. And, interesting.
There's, I retweeted this a while back, but there's this guy, Super Eye Patch Wolf. He made a video called What Makes a Villain Feel Real. And he does talk at length about the antagonist of this series and just highlighting how, he just, a lot of the things he said, he just wants to live a quiet life. And we learn all of these other things about him along the way. Like, we learned like what's his favorite kind of sandwich. He likes to sit out in the park on his own to have lunch. He likes a warm cup of milk before bed. And these are things that are like very much ancillary. Like we don't need to know them.
No,
but we get told them, and it fleshes them out. And I feel like it makes them a lot more interesting because of that.
Yeah, also that he's not like this, haha, I had this ace up my sleeve. I mean, that happens too. Not even because of his doing, because of, things surrounding him. That he gets the upper end in certain parts. But he is not like this super superior force like the Pillarman and Dio were for the most part. He makes mistakes. He is, gets very close to being caught and found out several times. He's just a normal human being who is a psychopath and a serial killer with superpowers. He happens to be a guy with superpowers while also being, a serial killer and everything. But in itself, he is not really something special. And that's a super interesting approach to a villain. And makes him, while not maybe as enjoyable, he's definitely not as enjoyable in my opinion as Dio. Or even some of the Pillarmen, because he's not like this I don't know, grandizing, over the top speech giving. Although he gives speeches, but not as as entertainingly deliciously evil as Dio or something like that. He's not like completely reveling in his superiority or anything as a villain. He is just like, I want to be left alone. And if I have, I will do anything to live my peaceful life and not get found out and, by you guys and everything. So, yeah, super interesting approach to a villain. I don't remember having seen that before in anime. Maybe I have, but yeah, that felt completely new to me. And the least shonen thing ever in terms of a villain.
It's because, like we're saying, most other villains just feel so like one note, like ha. Mm-hmm. But with the bad guy this time around, it's like, oh, maybe there's a little bit more under the surface.
Yeah. So super interesting. Also, again, an argument for who's the main character of the story. Because there's a lot of time spent on him, so that you could even argue in the later parts he's the main character, and on another member even in the last few episodes the focus is on another member of his family, and it's like maybe he is the main character because he's the driving force to the resolution of the story. He's the the guiding factor and the instigator of resolving the final conflict and everything. So. I don't know. It's totally weird to me, just in how the cast and characters is structured. This is like a bit like an ensemble movie. Like all characters in this story, or at least a lot of them, have at some point a more important part in the story, or could be the main character in that certain part. So it's definitely it's not as clear cut as it was before, and that's, like I said, super interesting. Now. If you wonder if you will enjoy Diamond is Unbreakable as much as the previous seasons of JoJo's, it kind of depends on if you can deal with this kind of meandering structure. Because, like I said, if you go into this expecting a straightforward shonen adventure anime with big fights and a clear villain in every episode, you definitely won't get that with the entirety of the show. Don't get me wrong, you'll get big dramatic fights, you get the craziest and most weird stance yet, with the most ludicrous powers ever. But it might come across as a bit unfocused at times, and maybe feel a bit too slice of life for you, if that's not your thing. I don't know. It's hard to decide. Depends on what you like in your anime and what you can deal with. The first, even for me, at some part, because I didn't know what the show was doing, I wondered at certain times in the first half of the show, where's this going? What are they doing? Is this going to be all that? Just hijinks? I mean, that's cool, but still, this is not usually what I get from JoJo. So, in hindsight, I'm totally okay with it. But at a certain point in the story, it was like, okay, is something gonna happen, or are they just gonna, fuck around? But yeah, so I don't know. You would have to decide that for yourself, I think. But let's talk about the characters a bit. Josuke's and Okuyasu's bromance is one of the best things in anime. I just have to put that out there.
The way they play off each other is pretty great.
Yeah, I love those two goofballs to death. When they're on screen together, my heart wells up.
It's one of those
10 times bigger.
It's one of those things where it's like, oh boy, here we go, but you're going to enjoy it.
Oh yeah. God damn it. I would watch a spin-off show with just those two characters pulling stupid shit in every episode. It's just, how can we do dumb shit today? Man, I love those two. They're fantastic. Such good work by the voice actors as well. Like, the interaction between those two is fantastic. I love that Rohan, the fill-in character for the series creator, Hirohiko Araki, is kind of an asshole.
He's just like, man, I can't fucking stand any of you shits.
Yeah. I mean, he says that several times on occasion. And in one episode, he is in threat of being torn apart by scared cats and dogs. So Araki has a good sense of self-awareness. He's probably in his sleep. He's haunted by all the cats and dogs he killed in his manga. And had to bring that to the screen too, or to paper. But yeah, that's fantastic. And there are a lot of interesting side characters. I mean, Jotaro and Joseph make a return. Their usual self. Although Jotaro seems to be a bit more mild-mannered these days. He seems to have left his, his wild years behind, where he called everyone an asshole.
Yeah, he's kind of evened out, but that happens to everyone.
Also, less broad shoulders in this series. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Oh man, so many cool side characters in the show. Some of them, only appear for maybe one episode or two, and that's that. Don't have a bigger part in the rest of the story. But yeah, there's so much fun stuff to see, and not all of the side characters that appear with powers are necessarily villains, or stay that. So yeah, it's for all the crazy characters alone, it's worth checking out this show, in my opinion, because yes, so much you don't expect from the people you see, and I would just love to. To see series that focus on some of the other characters. And I think there's a spin-off manga that focuses on Rohan. So maybe that's also set in Morio, and we'll get to meet some of the characters again. Maybe that gets animated too in an OVA or something. I would be interested in that.
I remember hearing something about that, but I don't know much of the details.
So yeah, I don't know. That could be really cool. But yeah, I enjoyed the series. It's got a very different vibe for sure, and it's probably not as easy of a rewatch than the other shows. I'd probably pick out specific episodes, but I found it to be refreshing and different, and I would still highly recommend it, as pretty much every JoJo series so far. I mean, it's one of my favorite franchises, and I think the same counts for you.
Oh, definitely. I thoroughly enjoyed this series beginning to end.
So how would you rank it among all the JoJo shows so far?
Oh, man.
And why? I mean, was this more, unfocused style more to your liking? Because I know you watch a lot of slice of life stuff, so this might have been even more up your alley than the straight up, shonen arc fare.
Yeah, and I think that's why I feel like I got more into it than you did from what you're telling me now. Just because, it felt like, they did try something different, and there was more, just
goofing around.
More goofing around, maybe, like stuff that wasn't necessary, a lot of extraneous things happening. But I just really liked the cast. The setting was, interesting. The setting itself felt more focused because it was just Morio. Whereas like Stardust was, oh, let's start in Japan. Let's go, halfway across the globe to Cairo. So certainly while Stardust has a much larger scope and probably, it's the story that has the largest appeal. It's the most, it is the best known out of all of JoJo's, probably, I don't know in the East, but definitely in the West.
Yeah, sure. It's the only one that got, several adaptations and several video games.
Yeah.
Just because of the time when it was popular and when it came out,
Yeah, so I mean, I do think I still like Stardust a little more just because of that scale and, the escalation of the story, but only like maybe a half step more than Diamond.
Yeah, I definitely rank Stardust above Diamond. I might even rank Battle Tendency above Diamond. I'm not sure. I'd have to rewatch it. Diamond looks better. It's also another thing. The look of the series in Diamond is again much different than the previous seasons. Previous seasons were very colorful, but I don't know. In terms of character designs, much broader shoulders and classic. Again, more classic shonen-y fare, maybe more earthy colors, and Diamond is Unbreakable has a very pastelian look to it. Very pastel-ish colors. Bright light tones. You got a lot of whiter stuff, pinkish stuff, light blue, light green. Looks very different. In terms of style, it has a different feel to it. I mean, it's set in a different time period again. The previous, were all different time periods, and the last one was set in the 80s. This one is set in the late 90s. And yeah, I think the style matches that a bit more. And yeah, it's cool, but I think just in terms of style, I definitely like Stardust Crusaders more. And yeah, it probably would have to duke it out with Battle Tendency. Just because I like Joseph in Battle Tendency so much, and it's such a great story that is focused on his character. Also like the final fight in that a lot, but I like just the vast variety of characters in Diamond, and the villain a lot, and just the way the story went and the way they used turned some of the serious staples around and mixed them up. I very much enjoyed about Diamond. So yeah, hard to decide where I would rank it. Do you have anything more to add?
I guess the only thing I'd say is the animation was mostly consistent, except for I remember. In particular, there was one episode where it looked like Josuke's hand was bigger than his face.
Well, yeah, David Production is far from perfect. They have gotten much better since, the first season.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They probably got a bigger budget, too, because the series got more popular, but...
It was still kind of like, hold on, wait.
Yeah. There were some off episodes here and there, but the weird and colorful style helps to cover some of the more spotty areas for the most part. Your eyes are guided to different things usually, so that you look past those little mistakes because you're focused on something else, unless you see it in a screenshot, on a screen grab, on on Quality Anime Twitter account or something.
I mean, I wonder if it was something that was, since I'm not familiar with, how that page in the manga, if it was, trying to be like, hey, this is kind of what it looked like there, because the Bones kind of did a similar thing with certain scenes in Mob Psycho, where they kind of purposely pulled punches to line up more with the style of the original comic.
Sure, and that's cool. I mean, if you do that stuff intentional, sure, I'm all for it. It's just, when it feels like they didn't take as much care because of time restraints or anything, then it's like maybe you could have put a bit more work into that, guys. I don't know what it is in this case, so I won't make a judgment of that. I'm just saying that, even with a well-polished show like JoJo's, shit happens. And as long as it is not a standard occurrence in each episode, that's fine too. And it probably will get updated for the Blu-ray if it wasn't intentional, so whatever. Yeah, of course, we're looking forward to the announcement of the next one. Believe that's Golden Wind. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that story is about. I think it's about the lost son of Dio or something. I think he's the main character.
Something like that.
Yeah, set in Italy, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen a teaser or anything yet, but I'm pretty sure we'll get one soon enough. I mean, the one for Diamond is Unbreakable took a while to pop up too after Stardust was finished.
I mean, there was 10 months between the end of Stardust and the start of Diamond, so...
Yeah. So
it's probably going to happen, just not anytime soon. If it's going to happen this year, probably not until fall season at the soonest. I'd wager probably early next year.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised with that. I mean, yeah, they have to take their time, and I don't know. I think Diamond is the longest series in the franchise in terms of manga chapters. So I don't know if Golden will be just as long as this series was. Maybe it will be a bit shorter, but I could be wrong. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, looking forward to it. I hope JoJo keeps going until it catches up to the manga, and then we probably have to wait a bit longer. I think JoJo Lion is still running.
Well, isn't JoJo Lion also like an alternate universe, alternate retelling or something?
Oh, not even that. I think Steelball Run was already alternate universe. So I think the only main universe ones that are left are
Golden Wind and Stone Ocean.
And Stone Ocean, yes. So we got 2 more in the main storyline to go, and then it's alternate universe.
Okay.
So yeah, it just is where this is going, and we'll hope to have an announcement soon. But for now, if you clamor for more JoJo's and have only seen the first 3 seasons, Diamond you can do nothing really wrong with Unbreakable. Just prepare for something different than what you have experienced so far. If you haven't watched any JoJo's at all, start wherever, I guess. You might as well start with this one, but I always recommend starting from the top, even though it's a lot of episodes by now. But still, it's just a cool franchise. Every season has its merits, and is worth checking out, in my opinion. JoJo is fucking great, and I guess we'll leave it at that. And that is a wrap on the 22nd episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us comments and questions anywhere you like, or send us an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Macht's gut.
Sayonara.
Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Military witches take it to the skies.
Battle Royale meets epic rap battles of history meets Hellsing.
And a magical relic of the past is reborn for war.